Hi, this is Kaushik Ranchod from the Ranchod Law Group, immigration attorney representing clients throughout the 50 states and worldwide. And today we have a very special show. I have Jose Ballesteros, our associate at the firm, and we're going to be talking about a new policy that has come out regarding Venezuelans. So you'll want to stay tuned because this is going to be awesome if you are Venezuelan. And it also, even if you're not Venezuelan, it'll be interesting for you because it'll illustrate what could be possible for the future. And we'll get started. Hi, Jose.
How are you?
How's it going today?
Good, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the new opportunity for Venezuelans to come into the United States and how this came about. So, Jose, please tell us more.
I'm sure. As many people may know, there has been a conflict with Russia and Ukraine that made so many people from Ukraine try to leave Ukraine and get into, other countries. And what happened was that there were so many people trying to enter, and they decided to do a program where these people can wait outside or in their country, and then they can get a parole. And a parole is a permission that allows you to travel to go to some country. That country issues you that parole, right? So during the last few years, we have seen many people from Venezuela trying to get out of Venezuela because of the politics, right? Of the persecution that these people have been suffering.
Yeah, it's been quite a horrible, situation over there. And
yeah,
we've done, for instance, some J1 waivers with that situation, but this, those take a long time. So that's why I was so excited about this policy.
Right. So many people from Venezuela, because they have suffered persecution, so they would like to come to the United States and file for asylum. There are two ways in which you can file an asylum, just very briefly. If you arrive to the United States with a visa, let's say, for example, a visitor's visa, what's called also a B2 visa, then you file an affirmative asylum with USCIS. If you enter the United States without inspection, that means, for example, crossing the border, then you file an asylum, but it's called defensive asylum, and it's not with USCIS. You are being given a court date, and you will have to fight your asylum in court date. So many people that have been trying to come to Venezuela, they don't have any access to a legal entry. So they are crossing the border, right? Mexico. In an effort, United States, in an effort to try to stop the amount of people coming or crossing the border, on October 12, 2022, United States announced a new process that allows those Venezuelan nationals and their immediate family members to come to the United States. This, why? Because it provides a safe and orderly way for nationals of Venezuela who are outside the United States and lack U.S. entry documents to enter.
One thing that I think is interesting is that this isn't necessarily something that the U.S. is doing just out of the goodness of their heart, but it's also because the courts are so backlogged. In a way, it's a practical solution to a problem. So it's not, sometimes some people think, oh, well, the U.S. is just letting everyone in, and it's actually a solution to a problem rather than some benevolent policy.
It is. Nothing is for free. The United States immigration, they have what's called immigration courts, and they are limited. You may find immigration courts, of course, in many states, but not all of them. Like, for example, there's immigration court in North Carolina, but not in South Carolina. Florida, they have Orlando and Miami. So what happens? The courts are backlogged. For example, Orlando Immigration Court has over 80,000 cases. And they have been trying to do some efforts to expedite this removals or these hearings. They were also giving removals orders right at the border.
And
And
80,000, you said 80,000 cases, right? So
80
that is
over.
I mean, that's just a huge amount. Like there's only so many immigration judges. And so that's why the courts are so backlogged, because you have this high volume and only a handful of judges that are able to process all of these cases.
Right. It's recently, just about 2 days ago, the EOIR, which is the executive office, right, that deals with everything that's court related, they announced and that's just like for one court, about 30 additional immigration judges. It's insane. Usually, immigration court would have maybe like 6, 7, 8, depends on how many people have cases. But yes, so what's happening? The United States is trying to stop all that people trying to enter the United States. Why? It's very difficult. Over the past presidency, things were very difficult for people requesting asylums, because people who come to the United States, they also need to work. How do you work? You need a work permit, which is not as easy as it may sound. Why? Before the changes, you could file an asylum form, and after 150 days, you were able to file for a work permit. Now, they changed things. So now, if you entered without inspection, you cannot file for a work permit. Only if you enter using a way of entry, like let's say a visa.
It's a contradictory in a way, because what are people complain that, oh, well, people are working without work authorization, but there's no way for people to get a work authorization.
Right. There is an organization, it's called ASAP, and they filed a lawsuit saying, this is very difficult. So because the process, it's being reviewed. If you become a member of that organization, you can retroactively file for that work permit after 150 days of filing your asylum. So what's happening now? This allows for people from Venezuela that have a supporter in the United States. They need to go a very robust security vetting. So the United States is allowing these people under certain conditions, right? For example, let's say this person has to be outside the United States, cannot be here. This is a way for the United States to try to prevent so many people to come illegally into the United States.
Because they have to go through a process. So
yeah,
it's not, that's why it's not it's so people aren't just entering without a visa to try to get asylum. It's now there's a process for people to come through, but this process will allow you to get work authorization at the end of the day.
Right. So to be eligible, first of all, you need a supporter, right, in the United States who will provide financial and other support, which we will talk soon about that. They need to pass a rigorous, biometric and biographic national security and public safety screening, because it's important that, the people that are coming here, they meet certain criteria. And they also have to be vaccinated, okay, and other public health requirements. Now, you will not be able to pursue this if you have been order removed from the United States in the previous 5 years. Also, if you have crossed without authorization between ports of entry after the date of announcement. As we said, this was announced in October
12th,
2022. Have irregularly entered Mexico or Panama after the date of the announcement, or are permanent resident or dual nationality of any country other than Venezuela, or currently hold refugee status in any country. What does that mean? It means that people, for example, heading up to the United States, they have to go, cross certain countries, right? Like Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, Mexico, Guatemala, etc. If that person asked for asylum at any other place, it will not qualify, or have not completed vaccinations and other public health requirements. it's very important. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that's a sign of the times now. Also with COVID, having to have COVID vaccinations, and that's part of also, if you go
Right.
through the green card process, having to have that as well.
Exactly. When you are in the process of getting a green card, you have to go to a doctor, and not just any doctor. It has to meet certain criteria as well. So for that person, in order to come here, the process is fairly simple. So the process for these people that would like to request from the United States is parole. That person needs, as I said, a supporter. So for this person, make it come into the United States, as I said, cannot be in the United States. And it's a beneficiary that could be a person, could be an entity as well. That person needs to file a form, which is the I-134. That person needs to provide some evidence that can help that person, during that process for, I believe it's 6 months. Once that is approved, and I have to say, USCIS has been on top of this. I know cases that have been approved a week after that form was submitted.
And that is unbelievable. That's the fastest that I've seen in anything.
Yeah.
And that just is fantastic because, for instance, the Afghanistan humanitarian parole, they said they were going to expedite that. And that is just taking month after month after month. So this is really, really positive. And
It is.
with the I-134, it's the petitioner, correct? Not the beneficiary.
That's correct. The petitioner, or the person that's sponsoring that Venezuelan needs to submit evidence of income. Once that's approved, there's a process that has to be done with Custom Borders Patrol, of course. And once that Venezuelan arrives in the United States, that person, of course, needs to have a valid passport, needs to be able to get on a plane to come to the United States. As soon as the person is here, can file for a work permit. So it helps them a lot because these are people that most probably have family here in the United States, and they can already get themselves into work and get a new life basically here in the United States.
So this is one of the most exciting policies that I've seen, just because one, how fast it is, one, that it allows people to work. I hope that the Biden administration continues to move forth on this path where it's making the process streamlined. We haven't seen that. We've seen things increase, and that's because of the last administration where it was just set up to be that way, and also because of COVID. So I hope this video served you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And Jose, thank you so much for this valuable information. And if you out there like this video, please put it in the comments so we will continue to do more of these. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.